Hello everyone and welcome back. It's the beginning of March, and because of the beginning of March today, actually, let's just say happy 3rd birthday to the Nintendo Switch. Been out for 3 years today. Still have my unit from launch day. Still going strong. And to celebrate that, let's start off this pickups video with a handful of sweet games I got this month for the Nintendo Switch, starting with the almighty Diablo 3. I've actually played Diablo 3 before. I've beaten it on the 360 vanilla version, of course, and that was one of the only RPGs I've ever finished. And so basically every RPG I've ever played at this point is kind of like I look for Diablo. Diablo is like the blueprint that I look for a game that I can get into, and I bring it up probably all the time when I pick up, like, you know, last month I picked up Divinity Original Sin 2, and I was like, well, it's like Diablo, so I want to play that game because it's like Diablo. So I've played a bit of this. It's actually familiar to me because I played this part before. I should grind through it and, you know, play the stuff I haven't played before. But in any case, having it on the Switch is really, really awesome. Love Diablo 3. We'll actually talk about Diablo a little bit more later on. Also, Valfaris. This is a super hard retro style run and gun game by the same people, or at least it's made by Big Sugar, and I heard people talk about this game and compare it to Slain Back from Hell, which I liked, but I didn't like. It was kind of hard for me to really judge Slain. I should probably try it again. But Valfaris is super awesome. Got a great soundtrack, awesome visuals, everything like that. I have not beaten it. I'm like a third of the way into the game, and I've kind of put it off to the side for a bit because it's really good, but it's super hard, and it's... Goddamn. Apologize. It's super hard, and because of that, it's exhausting. I will spend like 45 minutes per section of the game just to play like one level, and it's like, God, I need something else. And there's some other games here that have kind of been... Yeah, you just saw one. That have kind of been like what I need to like kind of ease myself off of that. But Valfaris, I highly recommend it. It's really, really cool. Visuals, soundtrack, gameplay, super awesome, but like crazy hard. A game that I have picked up sort of to even things out and wean myself off of Valfaris is actually Carnival Games for the Switch. Yes, I did buy Carnival Games on the Switch. I only paid $10 for it. It was $10 on Amazon, and I said, you know what? I've heard that it's actually, they did an okay job with it on the Switch. $10 worth picking up. I've gotten $10 worth of value out of it so far because I've played it for like 2 sessions at this point. It's still kind of shovelware, it really is. But it was worth a try. Play it with people. That's all I can really say. Play it with people and enjoy yourselves. I'm just going to move on from that. It's Carnival Games. I know people are judging me for that. Dead Cells. This is the Action Game of the Year cover and everything like that, and this version comes with a little keychain. Dead Cells, for a while, was like looked like a not my kind of game. It is, to kind of echo what I said with Valfaris. It's retro styled. It's like a Metroidvania roguelike basically with this. It's not like a progression thing. It's a roguelike 2D. Challenging combat, very fast-paced, stylized action. I waited on picking it up because I saw that this Action Game of the Year cover version was out, and it's on me. This is the thing I make fun of people for, or not make fun of people so much as I just get upset when people blame developers for like having the DLC on a code or something like that. It's not the developer's fault; it's the publisher's fault. Like, with EA and stuff. But when people, like, will give a game a 1-star review on Amazon because, for example, this has been my big one, they bought Overwatch, and it says, a bar this big on the top, full game download, no cartridge, and then it says it, like, in the Amazon listing, and they'll say it on the back, and then they'll, like, be like, there's no cartridge in here, they messed up. And they'll literally send the fucking thing back. So this is my version of that mistake. I wanted to get this version of the game because it said it had the DLC. That was a marketing ploy. The DLC is actually free. They give you the same cartridge that they give with the plain version. But hey, I got this little keychain thing out of it too. There is also paid DLC. But the paid DLC is coming out. It's not with this version of the game. I only played this for like 20 minutes. I did enjoy it. It's also published by Merge, who also published Valfaris. So good on those guys. They're publishing a lot of these smaller games, and they're kind of hit and miss, but that's what you get with those smaller publishers. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. Another game that I've really put in and started playing on my Switch specifically because I wanted to like take a break from Valfaris. And I picked it up. It dropped to $20. I picked it up from Best Buy. I'm in the last month. My GCU is almost gone. Tragic. I think it expires like halfway through this month. I don't know if it expires the month that you got it. I might have like 2 more weeks of it. But anyway, Mario and Sonic Olympic Games. The thing that was really cool about it that looked awesome is that there's a story mode, and you have kind of a parallel timelines going where like Mario and Sonic have been sucked into this like 1964 Tokyo version, like retro game looking version, and then everybody else is in the current day, and you kind of bounce back and forth between them. They have a storyline going on, trying to get people out of the game, and there's versions of the Olympic Games. There's retro, like really simple versions, and then there's the more modern ones. In the story mode specifically, it is really, really spaced out. The events themselves are really spaced out, so the actual gameplay is a lot of, if you're sticking with story mode like I am, it's a lot of like, alright, story. Alright, there's one game, it takes like 3 minutes to play tops. Story. But it's kind of cool. I like the presentation and everything. Probably another game that would be better with other people, but I'm just kind of chilling and you know, playing the story mode, letting it take me wherever it wants to go. 2 collection games too. This is Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy Collection. Great thing the Capcom did, instead of doing the Legacy. I mean, I sound like I'm commending them for it. They should have been doing this with the Mega Man collections in the first place. But all six games, right? 6 games. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, ZX, and ZX Advent. So all the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance and DS Zero games are on this, and they're on the cartridges, no downloads. Great thing. Thank you for actually doing what you should be doing the whole time. God, I spit on my laptop. Disgusting. I'm sorry. These games, so I'm past like 20 games that I have on these Mega Man collections in various consoles and stuff. And I now am I have the one that I think is the games I'm most likely to play, because instead of these sort of like bounce around, play them in a certain order, stages, this is kind of more straightforward from what I've heard. So I'm definitely interested in this. I might give it a shot. I've also never played any of those. I've never even tried them really, so it's not like the other Mega Man games where it's like I feel like I've tried to play them before. These are going to be completely new to me. And then also, this went on sale for $15 at Best Buy the other day. I picked it up and paid $12 for it because my GCU is still getting all my money out of that. Collection of Mana. Not the type of games I'm usually going to play, although you could see from this I have actually bought some games like it. Just to have on the Switch, all 3 of those games. Very nice. That's Final Fantasy Adventure, because it's the first Seiken Densetsu game. Secret of Mana and Secret of Mana 2. Having Secret of Mana 2 in I think there's, because they're doing Trials of Mana, and I think Trials of Mana is just a remake of Secret of Mana 2. Don't quote me on that, because it's not my type of game. It's not a series I've followed really closely. I've started Secret of Mana once, to give you an idea. But having Secret of Mana 2 Trials of Mana, which they're doing the like full remake of, is really awesome, because that's always been like the big import game, like big import needed to have it translated and stuff. So having that on Collection of Mana is like the biggest selling point for this. It's really cool. So that does it for Switch games for now. There's still all this other stuff sitting on the couch here next to me. Let's go for some Dreamcast games. I actually have 3 Dreamcast games. I can't remember the last time I could be wrong. I could have done this last year, but I can't remember the last time I had 3 Dreamcast games that I picked up that are all really exciting to me in the span of 1 month. Frogger 2, Swampy's Revenge. The Frogger remake is probably one of the more popular, like, PS1 era remakes from what I've been able to tell. And it doesn't necessarily excite me that much, but Frogger 2 is really interesting to me because it actually got a prototype. It was going to come out on the N64, which would have been really cool. I have the demo. There's a couple finished levels that I have on a ROM on my EverDrive. I've played them a little. I think it's a really cool game. What they kind of fleshed out Frogger into. This is obviously the full game here, and it's on PS1 and on Dreamcast. Being able to pick up the Dreamcast copy of it, I thought was really cool. It's Dreamcast is like GameCube, which you've seen and will see more. Like, games I wouldn't pick up otherwise, I will pick up for the Dreamcast because they're cool and they're on Dreamcast. It's a cool, it is a collectible system. It's a very cool thing to have. Next, Draconus, Cult of the Wyrm. Sort of a hack and slash. Not the hack and slash I'm more interested in, because I've really wanted to try sort of the Berserk Guts Rage, which is the kind of game, I feel like these two games, I always think of them in the same breath. But Draconus Cult of the Wyrm, a good Dreamcast exclusive hack and slash. I think it's really heavy on defense, which means, I have my work cut out for me if I ever play it. But in any case, cool stuff. Cool Dreamcast exclusive game right there. And then third, Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX. Everyone loves Dave Mirra. I actually now have the first Dave Mirra and the first Matt Hoffman's on the Dreamcast, which is cool. The game that I'm going to take more easily to if I ever play any of these BMX games and not just the Tony Hawk games is going to be Matt Hoffman's because it's built on the Tony Hawk engine. But it's really funny to me that everyone always talks about the Dave Mirra one. But Matt Hoffman would be the one that I would take to more easily because it's the Tony Hawk engine. A couple portable games here with big boxes. Just one game for the 3DS or DS family at all. It is Kid Icarus Uprising. None of the other stuff is in this box, but I am glad that I got it with this outer box here. It's supposed to have a stand that came with it. But I think I don't know. I wanted this game to come out on the Switch. That's basically what I'll say. I wanted them to give this game another try on the Switch because it came out real early for the 3DS, just like Star Fox 64 3D came out real early for the 3DS. And they never made this a select. They did that with Star Fox. And it's a Star Fox type game. It's a shoot 'em up, a lot of shoot 'em up, and then there's some hack and slash gameplay too, is my understanding. So I always really wanted to try it, but I never came across it. It's held its value really well, and because it had the stand thing with it that you're supposed to you're actually supposed to play with the Circle Pad Pro and have the second joystick too. It's just a really weird, I think they kind of threw this game out there and they expected you to not only have just bought your 3DS, but also, go out and get all this other stuff to play the full experience, and I think that's a big reason why this game didn't do so well. But it's another Kid Icarus game. It's a Kid Icarus game that came out in 2011 or 2012. Anyway, move on. 2 card games, actually, for the Game Boy Advance. I'm a sucker for the card games. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004, which the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game Boy Advance games are pretty much the best. First of all, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! That I can understand the rules, because it's not at any point in the past 15 years. But also, just a good representation of the actual game. This is how much I understand about Yu-Gi-Oh! It's this game right here. Right in my wheelhouse. I'm pretty sure I had this one. I'm pretty sure as a kid, I remember, funny enough, buying at Best Buy. This is the one that I picked up, was 2004. So that's cool. Having just one Yu-Gi-Oh! Game Boy Advance game and having it with the box is pretty nice. And then similarly, DBZ collectible card game, which I believe I tried to get into at one point when I was a kid because I had just gotten into DBZ, and it was like, oh, they have a card game, and they did the thing that smart card games did, and they came out with an actual video game for it that would kind of explain the rules. I didn't take off, but cool nonetheless. Cool to have this box, and it's a real shiny box, you see, and I love the purple. Always been weird to me that Trunks is on the cover of this game, but I guess if you're gonna not have Goku on one, I guess that's it. And then for the original Game Boy, actually, this is a really great one. Ken Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball. You know, the great Super Nintendo baseball game, and the great Game Boy version of it. My favorite thing about this, obviously having it in the box, but my favorite thing about this box is actually this sticker right here. This new release hologram sticker that it's really tough to catch the light on it, right? But love looking at that sticker. I don't really have anything more to say about it. It's like look at the sticker. It's great. It's so 90s. It's fantastic. Funny group of PS4 games I have here actually, because it's 3 games. They're all VR games, and they're all made by Justin Roiland. They're all having to do with Justin Roiland and Rick and Morty. So this is the virtual Rick-Ality one, which I actually was playing last night. I will say I bought these two on Amazon Warehouse, and very rarely does the Amazon Warehouse, for the cheap price they have, really bite you. This is the time they did. I had to make this up in Photoshop to print this virtual Rick-Ality. And I was playing it last night, actually. I did not really give myself the space. I thought I'd be able to sit on the couch and play with the controller, because that's what I was feeling like. And it's a Move Controllers Only VR. And it's probably the most move around, like, needing the most space VR game I've played yet. And I did not prep my room for this. I did not prep the couch and table and everything for it, so I had a real tough time with it. I don't know if I want to go back to playing it right away, but if I do, I need to be fair to the game and to myself and actually give myself more space. And then this is really cool because it's not actually, you can tell by the art style who made it. It has nothing to do with actual Rick and Morty. Trover Saves the Universe. And not only that, but this one isn't a VR-only game at all. This is actually a game you can play either way, which is nice, because if I don't feel like doing the VR, but I still want to keep playing this game if I start it, that'd be great too. And then Accounting Plus, like I said. My GCU is expiring. I wanted to pick this up, especially to complete this trifecta of games. But this is also a limited run. So the game, if you buy it on PS4 store, is just Accounting, and then this is the Plus version, which I think has like 1 extra level or some shit. I don't even know what they added. A slight amount of content added for Accounting Plus. Really, really short VR game, but a great experience. It's like a really, really good it's like a really good Rick and Morty episode. Honestly, it's a long Rick and Morty episode. If you want to look at it that way, I've already played it. It's a really fun experience. It's $25 at Best Buy, and for the 45 minutes to an hour that you get out of it, it really depends. Like, do you want to collect this? Do you want to own it? It's $12 on the store. It's $12 for the download, or it's $25 for the physical. And you get a limited run game that you actually do really enjoy. I'm glad I own it. So, moving on to 2 actually Xbox One titles. This has a lot of explanation with it, but Evil Within 2, just good to add it to the collection. I need to play the Evil Within 1 in its current gen version, not the last gen version that I originally started it with and didn't care for. It seems to me that it is one game that you should do that with, so planning on playing Evil Within at some point, and not have Evil Within 2. Good to get survival horror games when they're at their cheapest, let me just say it that way. And then Rory McIlroy PGA Tour. So this is a weird one. 2015, new consoles have just come out. Tiger Woods has now officially been removed entirely as the EA golf game mascot. Starting in 2012 was the year they got the Masters, and it was all about the Masters on the cover. 2013 and 2014, Tiger shared the cover with somebody else. On 13, I believe it was Rory on 13, and then depending on what version you get of 14. The one that I have, which is actually a weirdly difficult to find game, is the Historic Edition for PS4, and it's Tiger and Jack Nicklaus on the cover. And by the next one that they did, which this would basically be 2015 or 2016, depending on how they title it. Yeah, it came out in 2015. They might have said it was 2016 or 2015, but they just called it Rory McIlroy's PGA Tour. And the biggest complaint that people had about this game seems that, like a lot of the EA Sports games that came out at the time, NHL 15 had this problem. The first batch of EA Sports games, so Madden 25, NBA Live 14, all those games, they were missing content. It was the typical, people want games for their new system. Let's rush this title that people can buy confidently, knowing what it is, onto the next system and take out a lot of the content that they've come to expect with it and treat that like a trade-off. This is essentially what they did with Rory McIlroy. Looked nice. They had rebuilt it actually in the Frostbite engine, which I think is what they did right at that time. Like all the new ones got the Frostbite engine treatment. And this one sold very poorly for, what you had come to expect, but it had been selling. I think the series had been on the downturn sales-wise for the couple years since the Tiger Woods scandal thing a couple years prior, and then they started kind of slowly pushing him out of the cover, licensing, all that. And then so you get Rory McIlroy's PGA Tour. It's on a small player base. It takes out the person that basically, if you liked golf, you've now lost the guy that you would know if you're a casual golf fan. A lot of casual players who might like golf but don't follow it won't know who Rory McIlroy is, or even necessarily realize this is the same series as Tiger Woods was the year before. Even if EA Sports' logo is right there in the center, people don't care what the publisher is. They see Tiger Woods. They say, okay, Tiger Woods. All the time now, I get people coming in asking for Rory McIlroy PGA Tour, or if there's a Tiger game on the PS4, or anything like that. And they didn't make any more. EA stopped making golf games after this. And Golf Club, I basically tell everyone, go buy the Golf Club. Because the Golf Club now has licenses that they originally were like, we have no licenses. We're now Rory McIlroy's PGA Tour. We're giving you all this content with no licenses. Now they have licenses and everything. They have the TPC. They have, I think, a couple pros besides the Greg Norman thing. So this game is really, really hard to find for a PS4, Xbox One title, and for a sports game. And for an EA fucking sports game. You can get this, as I did, on eBay. There's 2 listings for it from a Portuguese, basically, overstock seller. That's why I have this copy with this L on the cover, and the back is all in Portuguese like that. It's Brazilian, I believe. I think it's actually the Brazilian release. And the Xbox One version is $25, and the PS4 version is $35. Plays in English, but the cover's in Portuguese. That is considerably cheaper than this game is going for otherwise. If you want to play this game, hurry up, get on eBay, search it. This is what comes to you. It comes in a seal. I opened it just to see if there's anything inside. But yeah, just an interesting, really, really, really interesting golf game for the collection that I'd wanted for a while, and it's not going down anytime soon. And most importantly, for some people, I think, you can't buy it as a download. EA has delisted it from Xbox Live and the PlayStation Store. So, like, physical is your only way to get it. That's part of why the price has gone up so much. That's why you should jump on this if you've been wanting to get this game. And the region is not important to you. Anyway, way too long of a spiel about a golf game. But before we move on to anything else, how about another golf game? It's Legend of Golfer for the GameCube. Basically, like, I got a freeloader for the GameCube. I bought one online. I was like, yeah, it's cool to have the Japanese library opened up to me, but I have a lot of the ones that would be like the cheap versions, the cheap Japanese versions. I have them, the English versions anyway. And as far as exclusives, if they're really good exclusives, which there aren't that many of, they're kind of expensive. A lot of stuff I don't care that much about. But I was browsing through my GameCube anthology again, and I saw this Legend of Golfer from Sega, who had been making golf games for a long time and just usually not publishing them over here. And they have this Legend of Golfer, which has actually like a 4-star in there, and I looked it up, and it has good ratings, and it's cheap. And so I was like, cool, that's a cool import. I really don't have any imports. I have 2 other imports, period. So this is cool. I'm glad I picked it up. kind of just having that freeloader makes you feel like, oh, if you don't have any Japanese games for it, it's kind of dumb to have the freeloader. King Arthur with Clive Owen and oh my god, I know who that is, but anyway, this is a hack and slash based on the King Arthur movie from 2005, 4, 5, 6, with Clive Owen in it. I'm hoping for like a knockoff Lord of the Rings: Return of the King 2 Towers type game. And it's got the King Arthur and Lancelot characters and everything, so it's kind of cool to me. Just a weird one to just add to the GameCube collection in there. And then another one, not a super cool one to me, but Mystic Heroes. Basically a Koei published hack and slash, because they didn't put Dynasty Warriors on the GameCube. They gave us Mystic Heroes, which is a sort of like super deformed version. Dynasty Warriors, similar type of gameplay and such. Cool, so there's that. A couple other more, 1 or 2 games. World Series 98 for the Sega Genesis in a really nice box. Look at this young babyface Chipper Jones on the cover. You know me, last sports game on a console, or rather a sports game that comes out on a console long after it should be done with. That's World Series 98 on the Genesis, to add to my Madden 98 and my NHL 98. 98, or 1997 rather. Interesting year for the Sega Genesis, getting those last sports games, which was what a lot of its player base was, and they were not moving on. 2 Wii games here. Spyborgs, a Capcom published run and gun sort of 3D action game that I picked up for real cheap. Just having the Capcom publishing name on there, you figure it's worth a try because you pick it up for wicked cheap. I'd heard of that game before, I just never got it. And Jaws Ultimate Predator. If you've never played any of the Jaws games, like the 3D console Jaws games, they can be hilarious, dumb, silly, but you control a shark and you go around and eat things. And Jaws Unleashed and Jaws Ultimate Predator, worth picking up for that reason, even if they're very silly. 2 PS2 games, again, the last show released for the PS2, MLB 11. I also realized when I was buying this, I was like, oh yeah, I don't even really have a lot of console versions of the show. I think I have 06 for my PSP, and I have 17 for the PS4 because it has Ken Griffey on it. So this is me actually realizing, I'm pretty sure that my dad and I bought this when it came out because we were hangers-on for the PS2, and we definitely bought it at least into 2010, maybe 2011. 2011 might have been the first year that we had a PS3 and would have bought this for the PS3. But this is the last year for the show on PS2. And it's now like the only PS2 or PS3 version of the show I own. Crash and Burn. If it's a destructive crash-heavy driving game, I will pick it up eventually. I have almost nothing else to say about this. Reminds me of DT Carnage, and it looks nicer than Drive to Survive. So DT Carnage is like same. I could easily confuse those games for each other if I saw gameplay with no label on it. A couple of PS1 games here. Final Fantasy IX, actually. Picked it up real cheap because there's so many copies of this out there. Just to have Final Fantasy IX. If it was 8, I probably would have passed on it. But I've heard so many things about 9. People seem to really like it, and it goes back to the traditional medieval setting of Final Fantasy. It's a much easier way to play any of these Final Fantasy RPGs too than the PlayStation Classic, if you have like the True Blues that I've really enjoyed, but the multi-disc games can be kind of tough on them from what I've heard. So this is like any of the hacking with the PS Classic, the multi-disc games are a little bit more difficult. That's what I've heard. And I've also sucked at getting any of the hacking done on my PS Classic, so. Spot Goes to Hollywood. This is a funny, you gotta love the cool Spot games. This is a sort of like isometric platformer. Early in 1996 PS1 platform with Spot. Cool stuff. And then more dumb golf games. PGA Tour 96 for the PS1. And look at all the plastic on this big jewel case here. PGA Tour 96. So I have PGA Tour 1 on a Famicom, a Super Famicom box, complete unboxed version for the Super Famicom. I have PGA Tour 2 and 3 on the Genesis. I have European Tour on the Genesis. This game I've never picked up for Genesis or anything else like that because basically every review of it, of every version, is mediocre at best. And I picked this up for $5. It goes for like 10, 15-ish, and I never see it. And I said, you know what? The reason I want this version, I'll pick this up, I'll bite on this version, is because it's fucking stupid. My biggest reason for never picking up PGA Tour 96, not that I've played any of my other golf games that much for the Genesis or around this time period, but the biggest complaint is actually really similar to PGA Tour. It's missing a lot of content for the trade-off of nicer graphics and stuff. Same thing happened with this game on the PS1 as basically Rory McIlroy coming out early on the PS4, Xbox One. This game has 2 courses in it. That is down from 8 on PGA Tour 3, and I think 8 or 9 on PGA European Tour. This is a new console. You got 2 courses. It's Spyglass Hill and TPC River Highlands. It's 56 golfers in the game and 2 courses. What are you doing? It's so dumb. I had to have it. I hate it so much. It is a stupid, stupid thing. This is going to be kind of weird, because I've never, bought these before, really, but, my mom had, 6 or 7, old work computers that she never wanted to get rid of. There's not very powerful, but, just easy to work with laptops that she didn't want to get rid of, and, I just took one. She's like, yeah, I have these, I don't know what to do with them. And I took one because I had managed to find at the thrift store basically these 2 games, mostly this. That's why I've been thinking about it. Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2 and the Diablo 2 Battle Chest. Or the Diablo Battle Chest. I keep forgetting that Diablo 1 is actually an integral part of it. But these 2 games, this kind of games I want a PC for, basically. And have never really been available to me. Diablo Battle Chest has Diablo 1, Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction, and the book, but the box is really, really nice, so I was really glad to pick that up at a thrift store with everything in it. It's a nice display piece, actually. And Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2, which I have tried on the 360, and I don't like it, just like when I played Command & Conquer. Didn't like it, Can't do it with a controller. Gotta have a mouse or a touchscreen for it. And this game is not cheap on the PC, actually. This is like a $30 to $50 PC game. It's Lord of the Rings, and it's something I really, really have wanted to play for a long time, but I have a Mac. I'm recording this on my Mac. And now I just have an old PC that, if anything, is better that I have an older one because I haven't really tried to do a lot of other stuff with it. I installed this to make sure that, it could handle it. But a lot of the stuff I want to play is kind of from the 96 to 2004 era. The stuff that I collect for otherwise on consoles. There's a lot of PC exclusives, so it's just sort of I wouldn't buy stuff if I didn't have anything to even attempt to play it on. And that's why I'd never gone out and bought this for the PC anywhere. Anytime I found it before now. So actually, I don't know if I'll ever play this in the recent future, but I'm really, really glad that I finally have Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2. I have something to play it on, so I won't pass up PC games if I find them that I really want. So it's cool. And Diablo, like I said, I brought up Diablo as the first game, and I was like, yeah, and I have Diablo 1 and 2 now, so I have all the Diablos. Great. And then I picked up a couple of cool CIB SNES games. Or not CIB. One of them is not CIB, and that's a big thing for me, but we'll start with that one. Skuljagger, Revolt of the Westicans, a cool 2D hack and slash platformer type of thing. That's also about pirates and knights and shit. About cool stuff. I am gonna go out of my way at some point, which I wouldn't do for a lot of games, to get the manual for this because it doesn't have it. And as you can see right here, the manual is actually really cool. It's supposed to be like this big 80-page like comic book thing. So yeah, this is a game I'd always kind of wanted to get. Anyway, I picked this up for a pretty good price. I picked this basically I got for the price of a cartridge goes for, but it doesn't have the manual. So it's on my list. I gotta get it. Another one, not usually the type of game that I will play, but I really like the artwork and I like the presentation of the Dungeons and Dragons games. I've heard not a lot of great things about this game in particular, because I've been looking up like Baldur's Gate and stuff, because I got those enhanced editions. But I do really, really like this Eye of the Beholder for SNES. Cool to have this complete in the box. And also another one that is not that great, but I love this stupid mediocre game, Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I actually now have this on Genesis cartridge only, and I have it in the box on the Super Nintendo. I'm glad to have both versions of that game. It's a stupid game, and a lot of people don't like it. It's mediocre at best, Castlevania clone, Castlevania ripoff, better way to put it. But I have just a really nice, not an expensive game to get in the box. Glad to have it. Cool, and finally, that's it. God, we're at like 37 minutes. A lot of stuff, a lot of weird stuff to talk about. I spent 5 minutes talking about Rory McIlroy PGA Tour because it's so weird to me that's a collection piece in 2020. Came out like 5 years ago. But cool. Thanks for watching. Cool. I'll see you next month. Happy birthday to the Switch.